Hello and welcome back to my little Jeti clinic from my workshop. This is going to be the sequencer episode 4, and it's dealing with this situation where you have multiple servos driving the doors rather than air valves and air rams. I've done 3 previous episodes in the sequencer series, and they pretty much assumed you were using totally air system to drive everything. I touched on slowing servos a little bit in the sequencer, but that was all. And that's fine where you have like one valve driving the air rams for the doors. It's straightforward to do, and you don't need to adjust travels in the radio unless you're using a servo driven air valve, but the actual air rams themselves are not travel controlled through the radio. And a comment someone raised made me think, there's a bit of an opportunity for another video here, because they said, what do we do if we have servo-driven doors? And I've got several of those to do. And I think my sort of glib comment at the time was, well, you need one sequencer per door because you can only overwrite one channel at a time. But of course, there's a much better way of doing it. So I thought I'd show the state of driving, say, 3 door servos from one sequencer and how you go about it. So we're in the midst of setting up our model. We've just started one called door. We'll move on, and it's not needed for this demonstration, but we'll give it a gear servo. So we get to here and we add in a door function. And the only real need for it is to give us the opportunity to assign channels to door. We're not going to assign a control to it at the moment. On we go, and I'm going to use 3 door servos, so we'll add them in. It's already assigned one, so we just need to assign the other 2, and there we go. And then pair receivers. If I say yes, hopefully I'll get this receiver paired in quickly. There we go. So the reason I'm just doing it right from scratch here is so you can see I haven't got anything nicely pre-set up and hidden. You are seeing absolutely everything that's required to get this going. Okay, so we go off to our sequencer and we'll build a little sequencer. We'll just be nice and give it a name. You don't need to. Has no functional difference. But if you have multiple sequencers, it's easier to find them and assign them by name rather than Q1, Q2, etc. Now, very importantly, this time we are not going to overwrite a channel. It was always overwriting channels when we're dealing with an individual air valve. Whether it's an electronic valve or a servo-driven valve, you're only dealing with one channel, so you overwrite it. That's fine. In this case, we're not. So let's go ahead and set our sequencer. The switch will be the retract switch itself. I'll do that, say OK, and then we can set up our sequencer at time 0. I want a point which will be 100, and then 0.1. How do we like our doors driven? We'll slow them down a little bit. So we'll give them half a second to go from one end to the other. Okay, so bung in another point there. Value minus 100. We'll come along to a couple of seconds, put another point in there, and then we'll come along to when we need 2.5 seconds, put another point in there, and its value will be plus 100. There we are. So there's our bucket-shaped curve for something like a P-51 Mustang, F-104 Starfighter, wheel doors, that kind of thing. Okay, so there's our sequence set up. So we say OK to that. Come out of here. Now, in the function assignment, what we're going to do is say that the door control will be the sequencer. So we go in here, sequencer, There we are, door, that's it. Say OK. And now, if we watch our 3 servos, they should follow that curve that we've set as I move the switch. There we are. They're slowed down a little bit, and we've got that open, closed, open sequencing. Or I should say from closed, open, closed again. Now, the point with individual servos is they do need travel adjusting. It's not as simple as just letting an air ram pull the door to a shut point and stop there. And this is the nice advantage of this one, is that we can come out of here and simply use servo setup to adjust all your travels. So I'll whiz along to first door servo, take it down to some low, very low value. This is really just to show you the difference so you can see them. Come along to the next one, take that down a little bit, come along to the next one, we'll take that up to the maximum. And we can come down here and I'll take again that one to the max, that one to some lower value, and that one to some very low value again. I'm just using wild values so you can see the difference when we look at the servos, but it does therefore allow you to set the up and down endpoints of each individual door servo to get exactly the travel that you want. So now if we come and look at our servos, as you can see, they've all got very different travels, and I'll set the sequence running. And there you go. That's how to use one sequencer with multiple door servos.